What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Morphinominal, your stop for your Power Rangers, Super Sentai, and Kamen Rider review and news right here on our YouTube page. It is I, your more phenomenal host, Adam Perez, back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Toku Tuesday. It's certainly great to see everybody here today. I hope everybody's week has certainly started off well. It certainly did for me because I am recording this on Monday. Started off my Monday right with the Kiramager episode. And while this certainly wasn't my favorite episode of the season by far, I feel like Kiramager always has a great way of just lifting my spirits a little bit, putting me on a great path towards the rest of my week, to be perfectly honest with you. But guys, we're here to go ahead and break down episode number 31, ladies and gentlemen, as we make our way towards the end of Kiramager here, hopefully within the next few couple of weeks. I mean, we got probably at least a good 15, 14 episodes left to go, guys. So not anytime soon, but we definitely are making our push towards the finale. But guys, as you know, it is in fact Toku Tuesday here. We have a Go Buster reaction coming for you guys later on this afternoon, along with Kamen Rider Saber's newest episode review from Stuart also, guys. And then, of course, we've got a Go Buster reaction for you guys Thursday as well. So a ton of stuff lined up for you guys. So I'm ready to go ahead and jump into this episode. I think I actually have some live viewer questions for us to tackle towards the end of this episode as well. So we'll definitely go ahead and get into that. But guys, let's dive into episode number 31 of Kiramager. This is actually a pretty forgetful episode for me. There are some pretty neat things in this episode, pretty much like just seeing the Kiramagers shrink. I feel like the moment I saw them shrink in this episode, even in the preview episode, the idea of Honey, I Shrunk My Kids just immediately sort of came to mind. For me, it was a movie that I loved growing up as a kid. I miss Rick Moranis in general, just being in the movies. I always thought he was a fantastic actor, really great timing with his comedy and things like that. But I immediately get Honey, I Shrunk the Kid vibes in here once we get to see our Kiramager shrunk down, stuck in the middle of nowhere, tall grass all over the place, right? They think they've been transported to some land of the giants, not realizing that they've kind of been shrunk down from the get-go. We can see a gigantic cat approaching them. I think it's Chevello that winds up having like a big beer can or like some sort of can that he winds up finding while they're on the ground and things like that. So a quick realization that, yeah, I think we've kind of become pretty tiny. I mean, for me at least, it was pretty cool to kind of see how the special effects and everything would work, with them as their Karamazin and Gigant Driller and things like that. I love getting an opportunity to showcase, hey, toy sales, right? Like, hey, guys, look, if you're thinking about picking up our Kiramager toys, let's highlight them all episode long. And you got the opportunity to see, like, it's like free marketing. It's like a free commercial. You might as well just take this kid, Tatsuki, put some of the scenes and clips from this episode into a commercial for Kiramager toys, because that's pretty much what he did. It was pretty cool, honestly, to see him play with some of the Kiramager toys. Like, I honestly have never picked up a Kiramager toy in my life. I don't really collect Power Rangers or Super Sentai toys or anything like that for the most part, but I got to admit, seeing Tatsuki play with the toys, it really makes me want to get my hands on some of these mechs, to be quite honest with you. So I'm like, man, I really do wish I was there to play right along with them, to be perfectly honest with you. It just brings me back to my days of like playing with G.I. Joes and He-Man characters and things like that. Having your whole living room or the couch table area kind of set up to be like your village or your castle or whatever the case may be, and you got your action figures. I loved it. It definitely took me down memory lane watching Tatsuki play with some of his toys in here. So, but I honestly was even a little bit impressed with just the combination of like special effects in regards to shrinking down the Karamazin, having him like communicate with Tatsuki and things like that while they're really in the same frame. So however they did it with the green screens or whatever the case may be, I actually thought it went pretty fluidly for the most part. So I was kind of impressed with that. Like one of the scenes that a perfect example of this that really made me chuckle a little bit was towards the end when Tatsuki runs out of the house and he's got a giant driller and the Kiramazin in his hands, and his mom stops him on the bridge, and then you eventually see the Kiramazin jump out of his hand and start like running down the bridge like he's going to the command center and stuff. I thought that was a great little scene. It definitely made me chuckle just seeing the Kiramazin's little feet really try and like gain some ground with his little speed and things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. But honestly, for me, I really was impressed with the special effects in here and just how well I honestly thought it was pretty blended in with the with real life. So real quick shout out to that for sure. Really the outset of this episode, we come to find our rangers. It looks like it's Takamichi and Juru who are the only sort of Kiramagers on duty, if you will. Everybody else is out doing their job, which is something that I continue to enjoy, that they allow their Kiramagers to certainly, their Kiramagers, I should say, to go ahead and live their lives and certainly fulfill what they need to. So we start off kind of short-staffed to begin this episode. They've already beaten sort of like a Marsk, one of the Marsk enemies, but now we have a Marsk beast that winds up dropping into the city, and he's got the ability to enlarge things and shrink things. Really interesting design for this Marsk beast. He literally had like two hands, and each hand looks like they were holding cell phones, like he was zooming in and zooming out on the other one, which would shrink or enlarge whatever he was looking at. So interesting concept for a Marsk beast. Design maybe not the best, but as far as its intended use, certainly worked to their advantage here for Yodana and them. So we actually get to see them wind up shrinking down our Kiramager this week. Now, it is fascinating to me, though, that even before this Marsk beast, or when the Marsk beast attacks, one of their first choices in here for Juru and Takamichi is maybe we can use the careful go arrow, right? Like, since we are kind of short-staffed, maybe we should just go ahead and call King Orden to certainly come and help. And I kind of like the idea that the other stones decided to like, nah, guys, we probably shouldn't do that, right? Like, just because we have access to King Orden doesn't mean we have to rely on him like all the time, right? So which certainly makes sense to me. Like, you don't want to get too selfish with what you have, right? Like, I think of King Orden sort of as like the ace up your sleeve. Like, when things really kind of have hit the fan and you have no other options, definitely go ahead and bring in the heavy hitters, if you know what I mean. So it's funny to me that they acknowledged that in the beginning. And Juru takes the careful bow with them anyway, just to at least power themselves up without calling King Orden, right? But we quickly come to find out, which I thought it was funny because of the fact that at the end of the episode, they still have to do what they certainly were hoping they wouldn't have to do. That is, in fact, call in King Orden, him and Embark, along with the other Chevello Corps, because I believe the gemstones wind up saying that King Orden took the rest of the Chevello Corps and some of the other stones over to Atamal to have like a team building exercise, if you will. Some sort of team building trip is what they certainly seem to go on. So it really was pretty short-staffed around Carrot this week, honestly. But the cavalry eventually does come in towards the end for them to go ahead and be quite successful in helping them enlarge themselves once again. The main story, though, this week really centered around a young kid by the name of Tatsuki. Once we see our Kiramagers kind of shrunken down, we do see, in fact, this kid, Tatsuki, and his mother walking past them. And I believe the mother's actually in the process of going to work. And it was a little bit startling to me that she advises this young kid, her son, to go home and watch after himself. If I'm not mistaken, I almost feel like she sent this guy to the store first to get chicken for dinner, then to go back home. This kid can't be more than what, like 10 years old? Maybe I have no idea how old this kid is at all. Maybe I'm way off on his age, but certainly seemed way too young to honestly just be home by himself. But this mother clearly works overtime or works really long shifts at work, doesn't really have anybody to watch over her son. So her son, for the most part, is really left at home alone. And the one thing that I will say, giving kudos to Juru, is that, man, Juru picks up on just the littlest things, right? Like, he picks up on the kid not really smiling very much, or like a fake smile when his mom leaves. I think this is reflected in Juru seeing a picture of him of the kid Tatsuki and his mom when they're actually brought back to his house. And he can tell that, look, the super vibrant smile from this kid in this photo right there. So clearly something has happened. Like he's normally smiling like this when he's around his mom, but earlier today he kind of had that fake smile when he was around his mom, right? And so I love the fact that even after the Kiramagers just let this kid just use and abuse them as toys, which I thought was super sweet and super nice of them, right? They didn't want to freak this kid out, was hoping that maybe he would play with them for a couple hours, pass out, and they can get the heck out of Dodge, if you will. But Juru is just super attentive. He pays attention to everything that's certainly around him, and he picks up on the idea that this kid certainly maybe not necessarily happy. I mean, he's super happy when he's at home playing with the toys. You can clearly see him shining. But when Juru actually asks him what's going on, we come to quickly find out that he is pretty lonely with his mom not being home. You know, once his mom around, clearly wants to be in her presence and things like that. But yet he hasn't opened his mouth and told her that. And what's, for me at least, I guess the side about this episode that I did enjoy was, I'm pretty sure this is probably a story of a lot of kids, probably that we're not even aware of, that kind of get left at home or their parents aren't hardly around type of thing, you know, that are a lot of kids out there that feel really lonely or feel like their parents are kind of neglecting them in a certain sense, right? But don't know how to speak up or are fearful of speaking up because of, you know, they're adults, right? What do you know, sort of thing, right? You don't know how they're certainly going to react and whatever the case may be. But I love the fact that Juru gives him the confidence to be like, you got to tell your mom this, you know, your mom clearly loves you, right? Like, despite the fact that, yes, she's nowhere to certainly be around, right? Your mom is your mom at the end of the day, and she should certainly listen to you, right? So don't try and you know, put on a fake smile to please anybody. You know, let your mom know exactly how you feel. So I'm glad that at least got brought up here towards the end of the episode. We do see Tatsuki making mention to his mom, like, hey, maybe if you just give me a really big hug before you leave to show me that you care, that you're with me even when you're not with me, maybe that'll help me manage or be able to take care of things a little bit better. I would have been like, hey, can you stop working so many damn hours? Can you just come home every once in a while? Like, I'm tired of buying groceries and waiting around at home for you. But the fact that he at least spoke up and said something to his mom, I thought was really the important part. And again, this continues to show Juru and what he's able to recognize in people and what he's able to recognize that makes them stronger, makes them happier, and has that ability to draw that out of people. That's really one of Juru's amazing strengths, to be honest with you, and why he certainly is the leader of this particular team. So honestly, out of everything, that's probably the one thing that jumped out at me that I really wanted to highlight, was them really showcasing Juru's strength and his leadership skills here and helping this kid sort of get past whatever issues he was certainly dealing with his mom and his family. But other than that, great toy commercial. I thought it was a great toy commercial. It definitely got me wanting to go ahead and play with some games and things like that. We saw some action take place with Yodana, or really brief stuff, honestly, for the most part. But not my favorite episode, to be honest with you. It's just just another episode I just watched. It's just like, okay, this is like 2 episodes back to back, sort of, for me, like the Gold Ranger stuff from last week. Like, they definitely are sort of giving us a breather, it feels like, before we wind up jumping into another storyline, if you will. From just some of the things that I wind up seeing in the preview for next week, it looks like we're getting some Seiyo love going on, and maybe the return of Garza. Also, I've been scratching my head wondering, where's this guy been? He did mention, like, hey, I got to go away for a while, and he wasn't joking. So I'm hoping that when he does return next week, or whenever we do see him, we at least get some answers as to what he's certainly been up to, because I'm pretty sure Garza's definitely been up to something. But guys, listen, at the end of the day, I definitely want to go ahead and know your thoughts. These are just my A+ opinions, but I definitely want to know yours. And we also did have the Takamichis Song at the end. I think they even said this was the last song from some of the Kiramagers, and I didn't mind it. I certainly actually enjoyed it, and I'm thinking they're all singing these songs too, if I'm not mistaken. But not the best voice in the world, but I did enjoy what they managed to put together for Takamichi this week. Not as cool as I was hoping that it would certainly be. That's the vibe that he tends to give off, but it certainly worked. Let me go ahead and jump into the live viewer questions, because I do believe I've got one from L'Oreal here. Let me just double check though. we'll go over to our A Plus Morphinominal. And of course, you guys can submit your questions to us anytime during the week. If you happen to watch Kiramager before we get the opportunity to do our review, if you have any questions about Kiramager, certainly feel free to go ahead and submit them in, and then submit them in anytime during the week, to be honest with you, because every Saturday when we do go live at noon Central Time, we always will tackle your live viewer questions. So if you want to make sure your question or comment gets answered, aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. Go ahead and submit them over to aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. All right, L'Oreal, here's a couple questions you got for me. He says, that was kind of clever that they use smartphones for the design of the Marsk piece, wasn't it? I mean, I almost would have preferred like maybe a microscope. I mean, granted, I get the idea that, we are keeping up with the day and age, right? So cell phones certainly do make sense at the end, but for me, I wasn't the biggest fan of the design, honestly. Clever, yeah, probably clever. I probably would have dug like I feel like they probably could have done the same thing with like a microscope, right? Usually one side allows you to see it like at a closer angle, and then doesn't the other side like shrink it down, or at least maybe it makes your face bigger? I can't quite remember how when you're looking through it, but it wasn't bad, but not my favorite. You also say, did you know that the crows on Yodana's outfit was Ryo's Juru idea in real life? One of the designers of Super Sentai liked his idea and went with it. Was it really? I had no idea, honestly, but I do like the design. Anytime you hear her, it's like, you hear the crow. It's always on her shoulder. It looks like he's got like maybe a gem or something in his mouth, or whatever the case may be. But I do like the design, so I think that's cool that Juru, the actor that plays Ryo Kamayo, definitely did go ahead and suggest that. That's pretty cool. Thank you for informing me. How did Takamichis Song sound to you? It was okay. I enjoyed it for sure. Not as cool as I thought it was going to be, but I definitely enjoyed it. What Juru did to encourage that Tatsuki kid was awesome. Am I right? Yeah, I was really impressed. I mean, it's funny to me that everybody's so eager to certainly get away, but, Juru being Juru and who he is, he's got to stick around and try and help this kid out. He's just got that sweet soul is what Juru certainly has at the end of the day, right? He can see those circumstances that are people in and certainly be very much like empathetic towards them and help them, learn from whatever it is that they're certainly dealing with. And I love even the idea, like Takamichi, he was eager to leave, but once Juru even mentions the idea, like, you're really putting on a performance for your mom, huh? Using that fake smile and stuff. And Takamichi immediately clicks with him. He's like, I see. Like, I see where you're going with this, Juru. And he's able to teach a kid a fantastic lesson that I think really helped out that family. So I think that was awesome. Couple of comments you say, seeing Tatsuki play with the Ranger Zord was fun. Kind of made me feel young again. I just brought that up. It made me easily remember my time as a kid. Maybe still sometimes do. No, I'm just kidding. It's been a minute since I've played with some action figures, but I need to start stocking up on them again. This episode inspired that. You'll say it was hardcore to see Shiguru and Tomitomo fight with Mashin Orden. You also say when Juru spoke to Tatsuki through the Zord, that right there was one of the best moments from my sweet Babu. I love that he knows how to read people. Yeah, he definitely knows how to read people. Like, I also love the fact that he even plays up the role, like, because I feel like people would probably be freaked out to see that your toy has come alive, right? But Juru, I think, just knows how to make people feel at ease, explain things to people in such a way that it's understandable, right? Like, because even the kid's like, oh, you can talk, and he's like, well, yeah, we're what did he say? Like, we're best friends or something like that, or we're friends, or you've been so nice to us, so we wanted to come to life for you, or something along those lines, right? So to let the kid feel a little bit better about himself, right? Like, because of you and how you've treated us, hey, we've come to life now, so thanks. And so I thought that was pretty cool on how he handled that situation. Yodana hanging up on Carantula was kind of funny, but I still hate it when she stuck out her tongue. Why does everybody hate the tongue thing? I think it's hilarious. Not hilarious per se, but I think it's a great calling card for her, honestly. I know you're probably tired of me saying this, but still, what the boys did to help Tatsuki and his mother were awesome. So You and your Juru, man. You and your Juru. Yes. I would agree. They definitely went out of their way. If anything, more Juru. I think Takamichi eventually came on board with the plan, since he did stick around to help Tatsuki at the very end, at least. But definitely Juru's plan overall. But yeah, very, very sweet and very awesome of Juru to certainly do that. But guys, listen, at the end of the day, though, I definitely want to go ahead and note your thoughts. So if you got the opportunity to check out episode number 31, definitely go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we certainly will be back later this week with more content for you guys here at APlus More Phenomenal. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here today. We'll certainly see you this upcoming Saturday. Again, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. We're not asking you to stop watching your other Power Ranger YouTube channels. No, just add us to your collection. Hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification, so when we do drop brand new videos, you will certainly be notified. Also, guys, if you want to go ahead and follow us on social media, right here at APlus Opinions, you can find us on our main hub page, which is on Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch for you gamers out there as well. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, do me a big favor. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you later. Care may change!